Was there a performance bonus for that one? A nice little check for getting your first goal?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. There's no bonuses in my contract. There's just you should be lucky to be in the league, bud. That's about it.
Speaking of bonuses, we ask all players, this one, former players, what did you do with that first big NHL check that you got?
This is a good story because it involves. Do you guys remember the name? Oh, you probably know Wade Brookbank.
Yeah, of course.
You know that name?
Yep.
So him and I got picked. They used to have a waiver draft after training camp. So you go to training camp, and I was actually in Florida's camp. And then after training camp, they have a waiver draft, and the teams could only protect, a certain amount of players. And then there's a weird thing with goalies though. It was like if a goalie's taken, then you have to expose somebody else or blah blah blah. Anyway, Yanni Herme got taken by somebody. I think it might have been Ottawa. And then so they kind of screwed up how they did it, Florida did. And then I became available and Nashville picked me back up. Actually, I went from Florida to Nashville. I played in the minors for 6 years in Milwaukee. And I was at Florida. I played in San Antonio in the minors there. And then I was probably going to be in San Antonio again. And I got picked up by Nashville. So Wade Brookbank got picked up from Ottawa. And so we got there. We're like, holy shit, this is awesome. We're in the NHL because they can't send you down after that for 30 days or whatever. And him and I never played. Thomas Volkoon played 70 games that year. I got, the whatever, 10 games a year. And so we're getting bagged left and right. Like it's 2 weeks into the season. And Barry Trotz and whatever the assistant coaches were just like, we're just happy to be there. And so we get killed one day, and then we're going to walk over the bridge that we're going to go to our first Titans game. And we got our checks. It was like, whatever, 2 weeks into the season. So we're walking across the bridge. We're like, hey, don't open it. Don't open it. So we walk across the bridge and we get halfway and we open the check and we looked at it and Wade Brookbank goes, bag me all you want. It was hilarious. And that was like, which was a lot of money, but we're making 400,000 at that time. That was like minimum, whatever the minimum was, that's what we were making. But oh my God, we laughed. We're so dead. Like we were struggling walking across the bridge. It was hot out. But he said that and we just died. I died laughing. We just had a good laugh about that. So that was the first one. But, when you go from making 40,000, 50, 60,000 max in the minors at that point, I think the best guys probably got like 100 grand, 150 maybe for the guys that played in the NHL and that were stars in the American League or the IHL. But it was, it's life changing for a guy from Red Deer. You go, holy shit, this is it was.
So what did you do with the actual money? Was there a big purchase? Was there a car? Was there a hat? What was it? A watch?
No, I probably did that later. Got a couple things. I'm not a big, I don't know, material or vehicle guy or anything like that. So I don't know. There's nothing specific. I know when I first signed my NHL contract, I bought a Ford Explorer. so that was my big purchase because my graduation present from my parents was an Oldsmobile Delta 88 that was theirs for the last 10 years. So I had that for 2 years until I had to give it back to my brother who graduated 2 years later as his graduation present. But when I bought that vehicle, it was pretty cool. Just to be able to, to do that, I guess was kind of neat.
Pretty cool.
Where is it now?
I don't know. I have no idea. I would give anything to get that car back, my first car. I think when you get older, wheels, you're still pretty young, Travi, but I think when you get older, those things mean a lot more to you.
Absolutely.
But, just all the memories and I don't know, but I wish I had kept that. It would have been a classic by now.
All the stains in the back seat.
Okay.
Oh yeah. couple.
No, Mason and I come from the generation where they're mostly cigarette butts.
Oh yeah. Pack the old dart back there, that's for sure. Yeah, back in the day.
Put it out in the
seat. It was
seat.
okay. It was acceptable back then.
Totally. Absolutely it was. I got to ask you this question. When it comes to people that make the NHL, that percentage is very small. To be able to stay involved in the game, regardless of what capacity, whether it be in coaching, whether it be in scouting, whether it be in broadcasting, that percentage gets even smaller and smaller and smaller. At what point did you start thinking about it going, what am I going to do after, and how did you work towards that?
Well, that's a good question because I didn't necessarily want to get into broadcasting. I didn't really, know anything about it. It wasn't my plan. I think, everybody when they're playing hockey, and you guys can speak to this, you think you're going to play forever. And I had a long career. I was very fortunate to kind of retire on my own terms. I think I was 38 or something like that when I retired. I went to play Europe for a couple years
Yeah, I'm
with
going to ask you about that later for sure.
my family. And but when I was playing with Nashville, and Nashville wasn't a big hockey market at the time. And so one time my boss now, Bob Cole, not the Bob Cole, but a different one. He's a legend in his own way. But he said, "Hey, he's like, hey Mace," he goes, "You're not playing a lot of games. He's like, would you have a problem if we put a headset on you in the third period, and then you talk to the broadcast as the play was going on?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "If it's okay with the coaches and they're they don't care." And it was Barry Trotz. He's like, "No, go for it." He's like, "Go ahead." So in the third period, at the 10-minute mark, they put the headset on me and we talk about the game and do all that kind of stuff. And as we started doing that, my boss now said, "Hey, if you ever retire, come back to Nashville, and you want to try broadcasting, we'd love to try you out." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure," not really thinking anything of it. And then old father time comes. I retired and I moved back to Nashville, and he didn't forget. He actually called me in 2013 when my last year in the NHL was with Nashville. And he called me that summer. He goes, "Hey, what's your plans? Just want to check in." I remember we talked. It was like 10 years ago, probably, that we talked about. Well, probably about 8. And then I did. I moved back. I started coaching. I wanted to coach first, so I coached here, coached the goalies and doing that stuff, and I really loved doing that. And he said Brent Peterson was the radio guy at the time, and he had Parkinson's, so he was having trouble traveling. He said, "Hey, would you be open to doing half the games, just go on the road and travel?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll try it." I was kind of nervous. I didn't really know anything about it or how to do it, and you always think like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I don't know how to do this. But as that went on, I started to really love it. Like I thought, after you're done playing, it's such a weird feeling because, I'm around the guys I played at that point. I would still played with probably half the guys on the team. So it was really weird being around the room and, doing my job. And, I just felt really uncomfortable in that kind of situation. But as it went on, and as the years went on, I just fell in love with it because, as you guys know, and Trav, I'm sure you too, and Dave, you've been in broadcasting a long time. Like, that becomes your team. Like, they were so passionate about it. Pete Weber, Willie Donick when I first started, Stu Grimson. You're getting ready for the game and you're doing all those things. And I fell in love with it. It's just it's such an honor, and I feel very fortunate to do it. I talked with a lot of guys before that did it when I was getting into it. Tyson Nash, guys that I know and played against, and Jody Shelley, Darren Pang. I called all those guys, Kelly Chase, and I said, what do I do?" And they're like, "Just be yourself. Just talk about the game. You know the game. You don't have to be, too crazy deep about it. Just, tell stories and talk about the game," and fell in love with it.
Hey, more hockey content. It's might be old, it might be new, it might be a full episode, it might be a half episode, but you can click these boxes because who doesn't like clicking boxes?